matchup. KONGDOO Monsters. Kingzone DragonX. Rocks Tigers. BBQ Olivers. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Good evening, OG and Legion. Welcome back to another day of LCK. I'm Achilles. I've been away for a while. Back here on a nice Saturday afternoon with Papa Smithy. No one else going to be joining me here on the desk. We're getting ready to dive into a banger of a match. It's going to be a barn burner, as Riff would say. First place versus 10th as Kingzone takes on KONGDOO Monster.
Does feel a little bit like the impending car crash is going to come through, because we saw KONGDOO Monster.
And we can't help but stare at it.
I mean, we saw KONGDOO Monster in the most recent match here in the LCK, just completely dismantled by KT. Kingzone DragonX, no easier opposition, so it is going to be one of those ones. Achilles, unless KONGDOO can show us something better, I think we're going to have to look for approximations of improvement. A game win is looking very tricky, but even, well, that was a weird note there, but even just improving portions of the game, even just cleaning up some of their mistakes, they weren't competitive in the KT series post 10 minutes in a lot of the games. So there was laning phase problems, there was macro problems, the drafts didn't lend themselves. You got to do something, otherwise it's going to be tough.
Is it time to just pull out something completely random to try to upset Kingzone here, something that they definitely would not have practiced against, to maybe try to find an edge that way?
You know, I'm not sure that'll work either, so I'm really unsure. And guys, you mentioned that you've been away for a while. If you guys have been away for a while, you might think, okay, patch 8.4, sadly, we do not have any patch 8.4 to offer you today. All the Banner of Command shenanigans will be there, but in bite-sized form. We already had Banner earlier in the week, so going to be a little bit longer, guys. We think next week, we think Tuesday, maybe we'll have patch 8.4, but for today, it is denied.
It is not, but here we go. We're going to get some extra little slides here today. Take a look at the number of MVPs received per champion. Number one is going to be Zoe at the top there. 12 MVP wins for players on the Zoe. Tempt coming in with the majority of them at 3, and then the rest of them kind of being dispersed from there.
So Zoe picking up the most MVP. I'm sure some people look at this and grimace a little bit, guys. We think that Zoe will be gone next week, so it's a short-term phenomena. I'm very interested to see some of these champions near the bottom, where you got players who account for more than 50% or around 50% of the MVPs. BDD's Talia looking just amazing in recent series. Tucson picking up so many MVPs next to Ignar also on the Alistar. It's just been fun to see that some of these champions are very, very prolific in the mid laners. Zoe and Azir picking up 20 of the MVPs is a big number.
I mean, you mentioned BDD there with the Talia, but somebody that we'll be seeing in our second series of the night is Lava, who has also had some stunning performances with the Talia, so maybe he can try to tie that figure through that second series. But Kingzone, of course, as mentioned, going to be still sitting in that first place spot. One less loss than KT Rolster here. Many, many more points, and KONGDOO Monster find themselves near the bottom, almost mathematically going into the relegation.
Yeah, 9-2 versus 2-9. At least KONGDOO are not negative 14 in game score to the positive 14 of Kingzone DragonX.
They got that going for
It's
them.
a tough matchup for them. Again, sliding scales of improvement. A lot of people will be watching this, looking for a sick outplay, looking for a pentakill. That might be how the series goes, but Kingzone have also tripped up against BBQ not that long ago. KONGDOO Monster beat KSV in what seems like a very long time ago. There's always the chance of an upset, but definitely on paper, it's not looking likely.
Well, if Kingzone is Superman, then KONGDOO is the opposite. Bizarro taking to the rift here on the blue side, as we will be seeing Ryze starting in the jungle. Yujun still going to be on the bench. Might be able to see him pulled out if Ryze has a rough time here, and given Peanut's recent performances out of the jungle, his massive surge in KDA, which we will see a bit later on, I think that he's probably going to have some struggle going up against him.
I mean, certainly Ryze has struggled ever since he was picking up a lot of MVPs for the team right at the start of the spring season. We'll see how he's able to handle here. He played the second game against Kingzone in the first round. Yujun was preferred in game one, but predictably there wasn't too much difference. Kingzone DragonX playing around with their roster as well. You might have seen on Twitter and also around. They won't be their usual 5 either. But is there any configuration of 5 players that KONGDOO Monster can beat, that Kingzone can field? Your thoughts might be no.
Yeah, leaning towards that one. They will have a little shift, maybe, to give them a slight edge in this matchup. As we go ahead and take a look at the starting roster, you will notice Peanut going to be in the jungle, but Rascal will be starting in the top lane. Not exactly sure why it's not going to be Khan, but more than likely is to give Rascal some more playtime. He's played 6 games so far, and this is going to be the weakest opposition that you can find in the LCK.
He's definitely a capable player. Is he a carry player? Not so far. He has played the Vladimir, the Camille, the Alawi. We haven't been inspired by his carry performances. There's always the chance that putting just a capable top laner, it's kind of the Untara to the Huni of SKT in 2017 summer, might be the way they look at it. Maybe it unlocks BDD or Peanut to look for a more aggressive champion pick and just has Rascal on more of a role player option. We don't know. We don't have any insight into why Rascal is playing. We do know that Kingzone has been utterly dominant outside of that loss to BBQ.
Yeah, and KONGDOO Monster, despite the slightly strong start there at the beginning of the season, the 2-0 over KSV is just laughable. Really, at this point, it's just straight losses from there. 1 game win versus SK Telecom, but everything else has been an absolute tragedy. And just to go ahead and calm your worries, we did see Khan earlier. He was in the makeup room. He was looking fine, looking healthy. So nothing along those lines for Rascal to be starting here in the top lane.
LeBlanc sometimes says looks can be deceiving. I don't think these looks are that deceiving. Ryze and Peanut with inverse KDAs, 1.9 for Ryze, one of our few players below 2 KDA. Peanut at 9.1. We'll talk about his specific stats from the most recent series a little bit later. We're also going to have, in keeping with tradition, a bit of a facetious head-to-head history. Kingzone's win over, at the time, Longzhu was in a very different time. Spring round 2 was when Longzhu was the most struggling, when they lost their coach after Song left the lineup. So very different team from summer onwards. KONGDOO Monster weren't there in summer, of course. Were relegated and re-promoted for spring. In the first round robin, it was a 2-0, predictably, to Kingzone DragonX. And we'll look at the mid lane, because one of the shining lights for KONGDOO Monster this go-around in the LCK wasn't, of course, SSol, who has struggled a bit. It has been Edge, who, especially on the Zoe, has put out some great performances.
Yeah, looking a bit better there with that pick. 3-2, so not the strongest win rate. And you can see his KDA, damage per minute, everything going down until you hit that kill participation figure has not been great, sitting in 8th and 9th and 10th there for CS per minute. So still is hovering around the bottom of the barrel, but the Zoe could be the make or break for him to try to bring those stats up.
I mean, in situations like this, of course the player on the worst team is going to have worse stats, and it's first versus 10th. But remember, the BDD was in a similar scenario 2 years ago on CJ, where his stats didn't look good, but he passed the eye test. And to me, Edge has passed the eye test. He has had some great games. He has been their best performer. Now we get Gorilla and Secret. Gorilla, again, going to have the inflation of being on a great team, but look at the kills per game. What an important stat for support.
Secret first in his position in the league, and Gorilla all the way down at 10th.
But how does he get kills without getting DPM? Is he just stealing them?
He's just getting those last hits, you know.
Securing them, baby.
Yep, just going to go in, steal it away with a headbutt pulverize. But, well, this should be interesting to see. 9%, that's a bit more than I would have expected here for KONGDOO Monster. Not to completely trash them, but just given the way that things have been going. 325 votes.
I was going to say.
That's pretty good.
That's not many votes, though, Achilleos. We're at low numbers.
But it's better than I thought, so it's still... it's a testament to just how poorly this team has been doing.
I mean, that's going to be 325 people that are either KONGDOO fans or Kingzone anti-fans, I would say. Maybe some people just want to see the world burn a little bit. Will the world burn today? Will there be the proverbial secret strategy thrown out here by KONGDOO Monster? You asked for it. Maybe we'll see it, because who knows?
Well, we'll have to go ahead and take a look. Coaches are in the booths, pick and ban, ready to go. KONGDOO kicking things off on the blue side, and no surprise, the first thing off the board is going to be that Galio. In general, banning that one away going to make a lot of sense, but especially so when BDD is your opposing mid laner.
And BDD did play it in the matchup against MVP in recent memory, and also played it in the first round robin against KONGDOO Monster. Jace, Rengar, Galio, Ezreal, Braum was the 8.1 draft there. One that was very well played by the side of Kingzone DragonX, both in the head-to-head and the history. And this has kind of been the trend this week, is a lot of the OPs, the Gangplank, for example, has been left open in many drafts. Recently has hit the bench a lot.
Yeah, I have been seeing that one out of here. Kalista from KONGDOO, we'll see where they want to follow up. Maybe go for another AD carry, perhaps, if they don't want KONGDOO to get their hands on something like the Ezreal. But that's going to be the Zoe being taken away from Edge. 3-2 on that one. Not going to allow him to even attempt to make it a 4-2 record.
And that's really disappointing because, man, were we in love with BDD's Echo counterpick into the Zoe a couple of days ago. Sadly, that means we are less likely to see the Echo in this series. So I, for one, disappointed to see the Zoe ban. But like you say, Edge's best champion, so respect shown where respect is deserved. Gorilla's been largely on the disengaged supports, as all our support players have. The Tom Kench will be banned away. I wonder if we'll see a first-round Braum also from KONGDOO Monster to remove the Ultra Comfort disengage from the side of KONGDOO Monster.
Well, the Xayah going to be taken away, so you can't get that Lover's bot lane. And KONGDOO just going to go ahead and very comfortably lock in the Varus. Bit of a safer choice here for them, but on the other side, Prey, he will get his pick of the litter as far as the ADCs are concerned. Something like the Ezreal, which we know for, is still very much on the board.
Yeah, Ezreal Braum would be a very safe first round, and we've seen a lot of completed bot lanes be taken in the first round. Love the Leona that we saw from Gorilla in that MVP series as well, but we'll see if they want to go for the strongest available jungler or complete their bot lane. Skarner is available here. Well, Peanut's been trolling with the Ghost Cleanse as previous summoners. Wonder what he's been up to in the practice tool before we started here. Skarner has been a bit of a down champion for people like Blossom, who struggled on that for SKT. Peanut Skarner, and just the ability for KONGDOO to hit their early to mid-game kill involvements might mean that Skarner will be considered, but they do end up reaching, not for a support, not for a jungler, but for the Azir for BDD.
Which is a little bit surprising to me, given that Ryze has surprisingly made it through the draft this time around. BDD has frequently seen that one banned. We've seen it banned just in general very highly, but just goes completely around the pick, goes straight for the Azir, and now Edge might just be piloting that one in the mid lane himself, and the Skarner has been locked in for Ryze.
It does mean instant cast CC into the Skarner for a bit more reliability on the engage. Going to be a cleanse Azir for certain through all of this, but interesting to track. KONGDOO have been the team most reliable in leaving open things and going for the mind games. They do a lot of hovers into picking other things to lead the enemy team to pick, so I think they're going to be very happy. I'd love to see what their strategy is against the Skarner. I've loved Zac into Skarner because Zac is happy to walk up. He can use his ultimate to bait out the Impale if your timing is on point, and Peanut, of course, great at those little micro mechanics and getting an advantage through that. So for now, at least, the Ezreal Braum has been replaced by an Ezreal Alistar to give them a bit more engage, and that means that Braum will hit the ban list.
Yeah, has banned that one away. So not going to be having that Unbreakable to try to block the piercing arrows coming through there from Sol. But Alistar, anytime we get to see Gorilla on this champion, it is a treat. Think back to 2016 where everyone was calling him a one-trick because Alistar was just so damn strong for him. He would just run it into every matchup anytime he got the chance.
Now I wonder if KONGDOO will be heads up enough to ban away the Zac here. I feel like Sejuani Zac is the two bans you want against what KONGDOO are putting together.
Well, crucially, the Sejuani banned away from Peanut after his recent KDA surge with that champion. Makes a hell of a lot of sense, power aside from the pick.
Waiting to see if it is that double ban of jungle we've been mentioning. Taking their time will be the Jarvan, so another, of course, reliable engage tool banned away. You see the Alistar, so secondary engage is what you're looking for. The picks is okay. They were baiting, but baiting in a different direction. Peanut wants to start battle warding. He's jumping on the Olaf, who, of course, can ult through the suppression of the Skarner.
Yeah, just going to be trying to go toe-to-toe with him. Deny that CC and just rip him apart with the Viking. Olaf locked in. It's been quite some time since we have seen this pick here in the LCK. I'm sure OGN will treat us with a graph once we get into the game to see the last time that this did hit the rift. But
outside chance of it being a top lane Olaf as well. I think it will be jungle Olaf, but there's always the chance in some matchups. He was famously good against Vladimir many moons ago. Against Sion, I think he's going to lose health in many trades. But very interesting to see the Olaf come back. Was big in the meta right at the end of summer season and around MSI as well last year. And the flexes will continue. Could be a jungle Camille or a top lane Camille. Not a big fan of Camille into Sion again because he's so damn tanky. Let's wait and see which way this goes. We'll know at 20 seconds. But jungle Olaf was my first thought. Let's see what KingZone want to go.
I mean, either way, KingZone have me extremely excited about the draft. Aggression across the board with this Alistar at support, with the Ezreal constantly poking Azir in the mid lane, Olaf and Camille. This is a team that is out for blood, absolutely through and through here. 10 seconds remaining so far. Going to be holding with the Olaf in the jungle. It seems like it might just be the pick as we go ahead and cut away. So we'll wait until those final cards come up here to make sure, to guarantee that it will in fact be Olaf out of the jungle. Seems like he's going for the flash as well, not looking for the ghost, which was standard so long ago.
Yeah, flashes of course become standard even on the Nasus, and the other champions want to take ghost. Even Singed is jumping on to flash. Such as the meta. We will be ending up seeing Rascal on the Camille pick. He's been playing very extensively in solo queue. If he can make much inroads against an Olaf, but this is the fun one. So against a Sion, this is the fun one. Olaf into Skarner. You can invade Skarner as an Olaf like many other champions can't post level 6 because you have your ultimate and flash to flash over a wall. So specifically around Peanut's Battle Ward playstyle, going for the flash makes a lot of sense, and let's see him get frisky because they baited this. They wanted this exact matchup, and it's our first Olaf of 2018.
I mean, we're talking about maybe KONGDOO pulling out a surprise pick to try to offset KingZone, but it's actually KingZone the ones bringing out the surprise pick with the Olaf. Let's see how it's going to pay off. See if Peanut can bring this one back into the meta, or if it's going to fall flat as we load in for game number 1, KONGDOO Monster versus KingZone DragonX. The KONGDOO dedicated still showing up here, chilling out in the audience. Is a bit of an occasion for them as we find that it's Sol's birthday here today.
So long been the ace of the organization, Sol, through many different iterations of roster.
Technically tomorrow is his birthday, but it's as close as you can get for the match days.
Yeah, they always do it the last match day before, not the first match day after, even if it is closer to being after them before. So just want to celebrate before the day does come in.
Turning 20 years old today.
Been around a long time in the competitive realm. He has been there through every iteration of KONGDOO's 3 visits to the LCK, wanting to avoid relegation for an unceremonious 3rd time. But with Griffin looking very, very good in Challenger, we said that before about CJ and other undefeated teams, but I've watched Griffin, I've talked to the casters, they rate Griffin as around 6th to 7th spot in the LCK in terms of power level. You want to avoid that relegation tournament at all costs.
Yeah. Being rated, 8th place, not going to be that impressive here for the LCK given KONGDOO and MVP's performances, but once you move up past that, you start inching above the likes of BBQ and getting closer and closer where SK Telecom currently find themselves, then that is certainly a very strong compliment for Griffin. So we'll have to see what happens as we get to that promotion tournament later on in April.
And in case you guys want confirmation, the LCK still will have promotion relegation as norm. A lot of other regions have removed the promotion after spring season.
Yeah.
LCK, no changes, so there is definitely room for new teams to join us for LCK Summer.
And honestly, unless KONGDOO can turn things around here in the second round robin in such a significant way, seems like we might be having to say goodbye to them for, I believe, the 3rd time since I joined the league in 2016.
As I said, 3rd relegation looking like it's potentially on the cards for KONGDOO Monster, and it was very hapless last time out against KT Rolster just a couple of days ago. In this game, very different draft from KingZone. Team fighting, going to have kind of 2 sides of the team fight unless they just find themselves super snowballed and all dive in. Azir and Ezreal around the backside, whereas Camille and Olaf certainly will be looking for the dive. Olaf's role this game, to me, baiting out the Skarner pick and then locking it in, is for battle warding, is to just contest the Skarner in his jungle, and has so many options to disengage, both the suppression ultimate and be able to jump over a wall if things go wrong. So a lot of options here for Peanut to play aggressively, and look at that summoner spell, the rune I should say, it is Predator. So Predator Skarner against Predator Olaf. The Predators are both on the Rift, but I think the Apex Predator is going to be Peanut.
Well, just given his KD. He's going to just get rid of that blast cone before he recalls. Given his KD, I would have to agree with you. Going into this one being the Apex Predator. No Ghost again. He is going to be running the flash on the Olaf, so perhaps we can expect to see something like the Righteous Glory come through for him a little bit later on, so he can just barrel down the lane towards Sol. No worry of that Chain of Corruption whatsoever once that Ragnarok gets popped. So he can stick on top of that Varus like glue. Nothing that anybody on the side of KONGDOO can do once that ultimate's popped.
And the strength of him to invade and battle ward is not just for laning safety, because usually battle warding is pre-level 6, your jungler is in the face of the enemy jungler, he can't react, so your lanes will do fine. Think about how the game is going to go here for KONGDOO Monster. They have Sion, they have Ryze, both of them side laners. They'd love to play 1-3-1, and then just have Varus harass and poke around a turret with Thresh to disengage, and the Skarner just kind of threatening outside the map.
Well,
May have to hold the point as Peanuts coming in with Predator.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for it. Flash in, headbutt back on a secret. Looking for it, but he flashes away, but still will go down. The Ignite denying a lot of that heal coming through. And Prey is able to scoop up the first blood. KingZone getting the ball rolling just a few minutes in.
And so rarely do you actually see Predator available this early, but both junglers go for the very early boots and Tracker's Knife. Full clear into early gank bot side. He continues to invade. My impression is it's only the start of the aggression from KingZone DragonX.
Yep, they're just keeping Sol away from the turret. He can't clear out the waves. They'll get the proc there and just get a bit of damage in onto that tier 1.
And how salty are you going to be if you're a bot laner against KingZone and Peanut ganks bot? KingZone DragonX have always had the least kill participation from the jungler in the bot side. The jungler never visits. The jungle proximity numbers have always been comically low for both Cuz and Peanut to the bot lane. This time Peanut sees his opportunity, seizes it, and it's been a really nice little win here, because now Thresh has no flash, and it's so hard to lane as Thresh when the all-in potential from the Alistar might just take you down.
Well, they're just throwing curveballs left and right. First the Olaf, then the gank there onto the bottom side of the map. So KingZone trying new things, shaking things up, even against a team like KONGDOO Monster, who you probably could run your standard style against, but you can see that they are experimenting, and so far it's working out quite nicely for them. 600 gold lead, just 6 minutes into this. And already a decent chunk of damage in onto that turret, so first brick might just be coming through for KingZone as we progress through this.
So the ward you're seeing Ryze on is a lane ward. It's not quite a lane ward against Rammus, but it's a similar style where you're trying to see a fast champion who can just lane gank. A Hecarim, a Rammus, you would see these sort of runes. But now with Predator being the most common rune, that's why we see wards like that. So you can actually spot them as they're about to pop the Predator and get as advanced knowledge as possible. So you see him on a camp, you also see the lane gank. So note that positioning at home, very powerful against these new Predator junglers that are becoming more and more common, at least in the LCK.
Well, Ryze will go ahead and spot out the ward. Clears that. It's a little bit of pressure there for the bottom side. Rascal just trying to go toe to toe here with Roach up in the top lane. Hasn't accrued much as far as a lead is concerned. You can see the Sion still very much coming out on top of these exchanges, so he'll be going back to base. He's got that TP ready to go in there. Finally, we do have the stat coming through. Last time that we had a jungle Olaf.
Olaf was really big around MSI time, and just before then, but in Korea itself has never been a massive pick. Always feels like other regions have led the way on Olaf, and then from there it's been deprioritized until international events has forced it.
Peanut, I think you're going to fix that. 0% win rate.
He's definitely picking at an opportune time to go ahead and returning to what we were speaking about. Looks like Ryze not going to be looking for a gank just yet. Is why the Olaf in this particular game, against a strong 1-3-1, the threat of Skarner coming in with suppression is kind of that thing that pushes a 1-3-1 comp over the top, where you have two strong laners, and also you can't cut to help your own laners. The Azir in a side lane who doesn't want to be there. Without the threat of the Skarner, Olaf can cut, can get in the face, and has almost no risk next to a Skarner with his ability to disengage with the Ragnarok. That it really makes a lot of sense if you want to play an aggressive, proactive style, and that's definitely KingZone to a T.
Yep, Peanut going for that invade, no fear of Ryze, even knowing that the Skarner is level 6. He's got the Ragnarok ready to go just in case. So just pushes in, takes away that red buff.
Rush on the tier 2 boots, the CDR boots, which was actually the meta last time Olaf was in the meta. So very much about the player making, very much intending to spend most of his time in the enemy jungle. It's been a while since the Battle War has actually applied to Peanut. It's been a lot of other junglers actually who have filled the mantle. It's fun to see him back on his old style, and less about the farming Sejuani and Zac that we've come to know.
Well, outside of those beginning shenanigans there into the bottom lane, things slowing down a bit as Peanut just continues on the clear.
Have you noticed that Olaf says bro in the Korean client as well?
Yeah. I don't know if there's a Korean term that would properly evoke the word bro. Flash forward, looking for the Chain of Corruption. We'll get the root down there onto Gorilla. Hook not going to hit. Ryze is going to flash in, but he's going to get pulverized immediately. Still gets a bit of a drag back there onto Gorilla, but he will be safe. Damage going to be minimal.
They were actually looking for a style play there with the suppression and also the lantern for the extra removal. Don't get full value out of it. Gorilla was 1 minion away from level 6, so that was certainly the time, but unable to get enough damage down. Gorilla now has 6. They have 2 champions that can ult out of suppression. That definitely bodes well for KONGDOO, and unfortunately for the Skarner. We've definitely seen some down Skarner games. This could be another one of them.
Yep. 2 flashes invested for just the heal away from Prey. Not a great trade there for KONGDOO, and Peanut is just continuing here with the invades. Realm Warp being threatened as Roach also arrives. Cosmetic Smash will take a little bit of HP away from Peanut, who is still not very tanky, and they will be able to retain that blue buff here for Edge.
They didn't have any advanced visions. They didn't know the exact timing of Edge coming in, so smart to ult away. As you mentioned, when you ult, you lose your resists, so would have been a very squishy Peanut. Doesn't even got a health item, only gets the Balmy Cinder now, so smart to fully disengage. No harm, no foul. Ult down from Roach in a very long cooldown. But things still comfortable for the side of KONGDOO.
Secret just going to be looking to clear this out. Prey would love to threaten him off of it, but with Gorilla back in the base, he's just going to have to say goodbye to this control ward. A couple hits in, try to build up some extra gold from that Kleptomancy, but otherwise you can't do too much. No steal away there for Peanut on that blue buff. Has to hand over his own to BDD.
KONGDOO happy to play a scaling style. They'll feel very happy about Azir as the game goes on. And Prey usually goes for the Iceborne Gauntlet side of the Ezreal builds. More commonly, we've seen a lot of Trinity Force Ezreal, but waiting to see which way he's going in this particular game. Going for his next shot, so we might get an indication.
Gorilla just charging straight in there. The Lantern has come down. Get the Pulverize there onto Roach, who takes the Lantern out to safety, but BDD wants to stop him. Suppression comes in, they'll drag him out, but he just goes over on the other side, shoves them back with the Emperor's Divide. Blast Cone will save Secret's life. That is Ryze going down.
Yeah, Flash and ults there to get him away from the Blast Cone the first time. Ryze taken down. Secondary trip available, so no second kill comes through onto Secret. Gonna get the replay now. This is long shenanigans. So Control Ward's actually invested onto the Lantern to stop it being easily clickable. You can full zoom and click the Lantern anyway, so he does get out. BDD desperately wants this kill. He saw Yukal having some fun on the Azir a couple of days ago and wants to get his own highlight reel play. Picks up a kill, they get out. KONGDOO now with the National's Tooth, so the Azir feeling very comfortable.
Yeah, is also in a nice little CS lead over Edge. And now with the Nashor's Tooth, having that assist come through.
I just Glory
It's going to be in a very nice spot. Yeah, Roach is just pushing forward. Says, yeah, I'll take a turret shot for this. Chunks Rascal down to half HP. So everybody else on KONGDOO been having a whale of a time. But Rascal here, a bit more difficult for him going into the Sion. He's keeping pace as far as the CS is concerned. He's got the wave clear now with the Tiamat there. But still losing out in trades, even with a Sheen in the inventory.
I mean, Camille has lane control on a lot of champions, but Sion is not one of them. Sion basically wins every lane or goes even in every lane. Very, very few that beat him. The one lane I've seen that actually reliably beats the Sion is Darius, but Darius in pro play usually seen as too limited, be a very lane-focused pick.
What is this, 2015?
Look, Jace is played, and Jace is pretty lane-focused, but Darius doesn't have the same split power, so you don't see him as much.
We've seen the Jace, of course, from Khan.
I'm just saying, if you're having solo queue problems against Sion, you could go worse than Darius. There is Predator invested by Ryze.
He's going to get the stun there onto Peanut. Knows that it would just be an ult for ult exchange.
Trundle also an outside choice against the Sion. Early trade's not fantastic, but it gets better as all Trundle lanes do.
That's true. We did see the Trundle just 2 days ago. SK Telecom bringing that one out.
KONGDOO continue to battle war, playing around the enemy red side jungle. Peanut's again overextended, but has his ult.
It's aggressive, hasn't popped it yet. TP is coming through, so might have to use this to bail out. Chain of Corruption actually connects in on a BDD. He gets chunked down to half HP. The Impale comes down, and he is just going to get ripped apart. Soul Finds the killing blow. Now a lock up here onto Gorilla. Gets a nice pulverize. Flashes over into the pit, but the Realm Orb's coming through, and all of KONGDOO is pursuing forward. The Alistar got to get clipped right there at the end by Roach with an decimating smash. He goes down, and now KONGDOO Monster find themselves equal in kills and maybe taking away this Cloud Drake, but Peanut is still nearby.
Looking for the contest here. Drake's down to 1,300.
Still has the Ragnarok, but seems like it's not going to be worth it here for a Cloud Drake. Doesn't want to fight over it. We'll go back in to try to get some poke off the backside of this, but won't really be finding much to follow up on.
Yeah, a bit lazy there by KONGDOO when it came to the invade. Notice the teleport timing here. To me, that was the big problem. We're going to catch the replay. Peanut walks up. He's caught out. They don't have the deepest of vision. That part is fine. The teleport spot actually really works against the side of KONGDOO because Rascal hesitates going for an aggressive route. He can't go past 3 members on the bot side, so he's just not involved in any of this. Roach cuts off. Seems like they read the play wrong there. No way out. As though Peanut, you know, he's never a man to be held down. He comes back for a second round.
Yeah, he just goes right back in for a second attempt. Says, oh, you know what? I'll just invade by myself, and then it'll work out. Does manage to get the red buff in the end.
And there's no skirmishing for Ryze against the Olaf.
He also still says chug chug.
Again, it's just literally the English voiceover, which is a big surprise. If you guys aren't aware, every other champion short of ones that don't say intelligible words are going to be different on the Korean client. Lissandra, for example, famously, Nami as well.
Yep.
Gnar is one of the few that stays the same.
Yeah.
Because he just says his own name, Pokemon style.
Even Karma has some different stuff with her made-up language.
It is like the least culturally appropriate thing to be like Olaf in Korea, so I guess there really is no voiceover that would fit him.
Well, that's going to be the Ragnarok coming down. Secret finds himself stuck underneath the turret. He doesn't have much HP, so he will just go down as they go ahead and finish him off. And seems like Prey will be able to knock this out.
Yeah, they call BDD down. They want the turret. They got the bonus in killing the Thresh, who Thresh and the Skarner kind of free food for an Olaf. Again, Olaf versus immobile AD carries in the Ashe meta. Olaf was a very strong jungle pick to just run at Ashe. Varus very similar in champion construction. So as the game goes on, there's actually very few options for Skarner, Varus, and Thresh if Olaf turns up.
Well, he's certainly getting there. As Peanut starts building up these items, blue buff, and again, going to be handed over to Edge. Gets it a bit safer this time around. No Peanut there to threaten the takeaway.
And that is Trinity Force complete onto Prey. Not often does he go into 2 items, and if it was more melee champions, he might go pure disengage with the Iceborne Gauntlet. Just like a lot of Korean Ezreals recently, he goes Trinity Force. The damage right now is at a really good spot for KONGDOO outside of the fact that Rascal hasn't been able to claim his Trinity Force, slowing it down for a Tiamat. Outside of Sion, things really good news for KONGDOO.
Waiting in the brush. The sneakiest of Scions here for Roach. He's going to push forward. Righteous Glory coming through. Realm Warp as well, threatening them. Gorilla, he's going to be the one getting caught. Doesn't have the flash, but gets the pulverize. Prison comes through. Ulti pop. They'll just go ahead and drag him back in. The box coming down, investing everything they have to try to keep Gorilla alive, and they will be able to kill him in the end. But even so, it's going to be Secret who takes the killing blow, and he might just get punished. Mystic Shot doesn't connect, nor does the Axe, so it seems like he will be able to walk out with his life, but big investment here just to try to kill the Alistar.
Even bigger than you might appreciate. It's 5 members. Look at the minimap. Ryze has to walk down. They've lost mid lane outer turret. Rascal's going to push in bot lane. They're losing 3, 4, 5 waves of minions just to make a pick onto one person. Very slowly killing an Alistar through ult. They may have got their man, but you saw Gorilla, he wasn't wincing, he was just appreciating that, well, my KDA's going down, but my team is moving forward.
Yeah, so this is fine. Go ahead, kill me if you like, but you're going to lose so much else on the map. So, inner turret there in the bottom lane, mid lane, weakened significantly.
If it's going to take you 5 members to kill a support at 17 minutes before Baron isn't even an objective you can start, you messed up. There's definitely ways to punish that across the map. At no point did BDD get called topside. He just kept pushing mid lane. It's like, cool, okay, I'll keep doing my thing. Rascal didn't have teleport, but wouldn't have teleported either. Right? He's looking for the lane gank. He saw that ward be put down, so he should probably know that he is exposed in the top side. Loving these wards, by the way. Yeah. There's a Realm Warp level ward onto Edge, the lane ward that Skarner should know that he's spotted, but I'm going to go ahead and say he probably doesn't.
Well, after the last gank right there, want to be able to spot out Edge. If he's not hovering around there in the mid lane. BDD just gonna go straight back into it. It's got the Haunting guys ready to go. Lasting one in the inventory for a little bit of extra oomph.
All right, can we kill a Sion? My thought is no.
Well,
I'm willing to watch.
The ultimatum coming through. Rascal he's doing his damnedest to try to do so, but he could just go ahead and charge away.
If Rascal really wanted that, he would have flashed in front of the Sion and it would have interrupted the ult, but decided not to.
I think he's fine with this.
I'm sure BDD's like, wait, why did I roam down bot if you weren't going to flash in front of it? But no ability for him to actually slow down the choo-choo train. Means the disengage does happen by Sion.
I'd like to see the outplay where he actually hook shots his way in front of the Sion.
It's possible, but usually the ult comes around the time where that isn't available.
Yeah. Would be quite nice, but always gotta love the Sion running away, screaming cowards as he tries to make a hasty escape.
He knows which side his red's butted on. Sion knows what's good. So very, very powerful and oppressive both in professional play and in solo queue. But KONGDOO want to take the Rift Herald before it despawns, so they call in BDD.
Yeah, a little bit of extra time here, but Olaf going to be high damage. They have the Azir with an Asher's Tooth, so should be able to work this one down in time you would expect.
With this new Skarner meta, and every time one of these very old champions gets slightly reworked and comes back in the meta, I love it when we get to this point, where we're 2 weeks in and people say, okay, we remember how to play against Skarner with lane wards to answer a Predator. But what about picking into Skarner? That's kind of the next level. It's cool to see the Olaf come back. It was always good against Lee Sin when Lee Sin was meta, and now we see it against the Skarner. And given that Skarners have struggled already when it comes to ward patterns, being able to see them, we're moving into a meta where wards are much less plentiful, Tracker Knife being removed on patch 8.4. So having a battle champion that can actually 1v1 him and invade him means that we might see more Olaf moving forward.
Well, I gotta say I like it. It's a pick that can accelerate the pace of a game, but also one that can be punished very hard if he doesn't get ahead. Then it could just go ahead and fall off the face of the earth, a bit like Nidalee. It seems like the pace of the game, you know, seeing the pace accelerated here on 8.3 still is quite nice. It's a good change of pace here for us. And then we have, of course, the changes on 8.4 to look forward to, which have me looking forward to 8.5 when we fix the banner of command minions.
I always love talking about future patches because it always does feel like the grass is greener. We are still on patch 8.3 and other regions are hitting 8.4 yesterday and today. And always the patch afterwards is the gold standard. It's always 8.4 into 8.5 into 8.6. No one's ever happy with what they currently have. The late game stalls will be a thing of the past, so that part I'm happy about. The banner of command battle, that part I'm not sure about.
Well, it comes through, we'll drop the box. Peanut just gonna go ahead and pop the Ragnarok there at the last possible second.
Change to Olaf many, many years ago that allowed him to ult during CC rather than before. Makes him so much more slippery. Never get baited into using the ultimate and then disengaged on. And holding on to the Rift Herald for a little bit. Still has plenty of time on it though. KONGDOO seem to be taking this one slow and steady. They're not looking to smash open KONGDOO after KONGDOO has had some nice creative picks in the early game. They're very comfortable at their scaling, especially with Ezreal and the Azir in great points of power. Olaf shops, and I think the Rift Herald top side is soon to come.
Yeah, just go ahead. Get ready to knock down that final turret. You can see Peanut is heading his way towards that side of the map at the moment. With a minute remaining on the red buff, so likely just going to be pushing his way in. But the ping actually comes down onto the tier 2 turret in mid, so perhaps they want to try to crack that.
And usually when you go for cracking a secondary turret when outer turrets are still up, that usually means you want to take Baron or another objective on the map and just use the Rift Herald as a distraction. So we'll wait and see what the decision is. Peanut tries to walk up.
It doesn't have the Ragnarok still. He will get locked in and just comes up, just gets popped. He's going to get shoved back into the jungle. Has the W to get some of that HP back, but is knocked down to about a third of his HP.
Pretty similar cooldowns between the Impale and the Ragnarok, just eyeing up the icons as we see the disengage.
Doesn't even bother with it, actually. Just goes straight back into the base. Channels the recall.
You see the assist pings on Baron, so I think the threat of Baron being turned on, one that KONGDOO Monster is very aware of. Rift Herald will despawn very soon, so I imagine we will see the Olaf investment, and now that all the outer turrets are down. See if our hypothesis is right. Walking through control-warded vision, so not exclusive vision here for Peanut on the top side on the minimap.
Well, they're going to have to channel this soon. A little bit of time remaining here for the Rift Herald. He cuts his way back towards mid, but it seems like he can't really make up his mind where he wants to go. They want to contest for the vision. They will get the join in there from Gorilla, who has the sweeper ready to go.
Amusingly, Olaf is one of the few champions that can ult and then Rift Herald and not be interrupted, I guess.
That's true.
He doesn't have his ult available, but it's an amusing interaction I thought of.
Okay, we'll go ahead and pop this one here. We're denying the vision from that ward.
With the Sun Turret, they do make this
they're gonna
pretty difficult predicament for KONGDOO Monster to consider. They know Impale's on cooldown at least for a little bit.
Goodbye. So we'll just go ahead, take down that turret. So not the distraction play, just straight up trading in the Rift Herald there for the tower. And you can see KingZone have stretched a pretty monstrous lead now as far as the gold is concerned. Just 24 minutes into this game.
It's 5 towers to 0, so it's a very long map for KingZone to push up vision and get a lot of information before they turn onto a Baron. And unfortunately for KONGDOO, it is a very narrow map in terms of the areas they control. Able to push up, able to get some vision around the Baron, but that's the most that right now KONGDOO Monster can claim.
Let's take away the Scuttle Crab. One more hit. There you go. So at least have that going for them. Did see some sneaky takeaways in the SKT Africa series just 2 days ago.
That one was awesome because the ward placement to the left of the pit.
Outside.
I mean, that ward placement is now a standard ward placement, Achilles, so why not next level the standard by adjusting your play, which is what we saw from SKT. And then you notice that when Thresh went up to ward, he did not put a ward in that spot. He put a ward deep in the pit, which, while spottable by control wards, whenever something becomes the norm, I always appreciate teams looking to the next step on the norm. It's always a fun thing to see. And that's why when Banner of Command, Baron buff minions become oppressive, what does that mean for the drafting? Do you just pick super early game and never allow the Baron to spawn? Where else does it adjust? And will the dematerializers be held onto, as Jat's been talking about on Twitter? There's a lot of different ways. Just because something is strong, there's a lot of esports games that didn't balance as often as Riot has. Think of StarCraft, for example, where in Brood War, the counter strategies had to develop because of no patch cycles. We now know that we will have at least a couple of weeks of oppressively strong cannon minions. I'm looking forward to see what the evolution of that meta is.
Yeah, and holding on to a dematerializer for that long into the game, it's certainly going to feel bad, but it might just be a necessary play. Just seeing how oppressive this Banner of Command, I'll call them the Baron of Command minions, have been.
Man, how bad does it feel for a support who has to hold on to a control ward slot and also
a dematerializer?
A dematerializer.
Yep.
At some point, you're actually running out of item slots as Ryze flashes over.
Yeah, he's just going to go ahead and flash over the wall. Wants to get the lockdown here onto BDD. Root Prison comes through. He's down to half HP. Tries to trade it back. Chunks out Soul, but can't get the kill. The rest of KingZone unable to collapse in time, but Rascal now has some alone time here into the bottom lane. Will be chunking down this turret, but he doesn't have a minion wave there yet.
KONGDOO Monster definitely taking this best friends for everything very seriously. They make a lot of 5-man plays. They need to start the Baron, but they're going to actually find 3 members. Can they claim it?
They're going to be going for this one. True Shot Barrage comes in, weakens several members of KONGDOO.
They need to finish it, otherwise they're going to lose their base for free.
Peanut's ready to go. He's going to go charging and look for the seal, and he's going to take it away right out from under their noses. The rest of them going to try to escape with a Realm Warp over the wall.
Ryze got left
go
behind.
into the Krugs, but Ryze, he wasn't a part. He didn't have a ticket. He gets kicked off the train. Prey goes over the wall. He'll get locked down, will get taken down, but Rascal is in onto the Nexus turrets with these now Baron-empowered minions here backing him up. Roach is going to arrive. Rascal takes the hook shot out, gets slowed up by the Roar of the Slayer, but should be fine to exit. So much punish coming through from KingZone, and a steal on top of it all.
This is what happens when you get priced into making a play like this. There's no other option for KONGDOO, otherwise they will lose a free inhibitor. They have to take a 50-50 Baron, and Peanut is the king of 50-50 Barons. He always is the man to get his smite on. It completely disrupts the play. And the criticism of KONGDOO is not starting the Baron. It is, once again, only playing as a 5-man unit because they had no good options left. They got punished for the first time. They made a 5-man collapse. The second time, same story.
Prey being a little overzealous, I think, with his dive in there.
He thought he could outplay a 1v2 and then found 3.
And then he's like, oh, wait, I miscalculated.
His Mercurial Scimitar was too early as well, which meant that he wasn't able to fully disengage. So I guess not stacking CC is something you can compliment KONGDOO Monster for doing in that scenario. Losing almost all of their base, definitely not worth a compliment.
Yes, certainly not. Even if they had gotten the Baron, losing almost all of their base, still not a great situation, because then you can't really push forward and utilize the Baron buff. You have to worry about the super creeps constantly pouring in to that opposite side of the map. But now they just basically lose out on every single front.
Unfortunately, this has kind of been the KONGDOO specialist. 3 lanes losing in farms, even 60 CS for the jungler, whose battle warding has got him an extra 15 camps on the enemy jungle. If you lose CS in every role, which is what happens when you lose 3 turrets early and you only move as 5, minions are dying to turrets that don't in other matches.
You know, I think this actually might be good, though, for KONGDOO, because now this forces them to not play as 5-man, because they need somebody in the bottom lane. So maybe it'll change things. They'll evolve in their play style. As well, they want to go in for the 5-man right here. Charge comes in. They get the pop-up in on to Gorilla. Gets knocked down to about half HP as the ulti comes through. Still getting locked up constantly, but they still haven't been able to kill him. Headbutt pulverize goes through. He gets a pop-up here onto SSol, who is just getting melted down. He will be able to trade in for the Alistar, but the bottom lane of KONGDOO are the ones being traded for it. The Empress Divide comes through. Roach going to be locked in for the Hextech ultimatum. It's going to be the full ace coming down as Roach desperately tries to chase in onto Prey. He'll smack him once, he'll smack him twice, but that's all they get, and Kingzone will be taking the Nexus.
Yeah, flashing for the gap closes. Prey just wants to get in the picture and end the game. Kingzone DragonX predictably do pick up game 1, and from a scoreboard perspective and a time perspective, it certainly looks more competitive than the series against KT. But to respond to your point, Achilles, the worry is if your only way to make it competitive is to 5-man gank, surprise Kingzone with the 5th member when it's usually 3 or 4, that strategy will lose you more games than it wins. So while it gets you competitive, I don't feel like it's setting them up macro-wise for future games. If the opposition was more on their level, I think they still lose making a 5-man play. If they stay to the standard that was admittedly not winning them games, but actually against more equal opposition, that's probably healthier. So they're moving in a different direction. Whether it would help them in a promotion tournament, for example, my impression is no.
Well, 6-9 at the end of the day there for KONGDOO, so able to get some kills on the board, but when it came down to the meta play, they got boned by Kingzone. There you come out on top. They close this one out pre-30 minutes. And what do you even say to try to get ready for a second game versus this team? Kingzone winning on the red side, where blue has had dominant control, 57.6% win ratio before this match. Now going to be shifted back a little bit more. How do you even try to approach this?
You say good luck. You consider now that the Skarner left open is a bait. You take that extra information, but otherwise, Achilles, there's only so much you can do when you're outskilled in every role, and your all-in play wasn't able to pay off either.
Well, Rascal bullied around in the beginning of that game, but holding his own by the end. We'll see if he's going to stick through for the entire series, or if we're going to see Khan make a visitation here onto the Rift for game number 2. Either way, seems like Kingzone has this one in hand and should be a very swift series unless KONGDOO Monster can pull a miracle out of their butts.
Hopefully we can see some new stuff, Achilles. Let's see some more Olaf, some new picks from the jungle.
All right, we'll see if Peanut has some more innovation here for us as we come back from the break, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes with game number 2, KONGDOO Monster versus Kingzone DragonX, to see if they can close this one out with a 2-0.